So all the big players have a stake in DTCC. So in many ways, you could say that we're the DAO for the US financial markets in that we're owned by those parties. We are perhaps arguably the most important SIPMU, systemically important financial market utility, basically the infrastructure on which all other institutions conduct their trades.
We touched on, as we roll over into the second portion of today's video breakdown, something that Dan Donnie said from the DTCC. So I want to go back to that because it goes hand in hand since we use MetalX lending platform as an example in this looping strategy that I talked about, that pretty much, allows you in a sense to become the bank, to become your own bank. Well, they put out this post, right? And so, Aqua, I don't know if you want to be the one to read this since you brought this to my attention, but I highlighted 2 parts in this. Do you want to go through and read this one, bro?
Yeah, I'll read it. It says, with the passage of the Genius Act, crypto now has to make a choice. Will we use the blockchain technology to censor, monitor, and control, or will we use it to liberate and empower the people? Metal chooses the latter. The House of Representatives sent a clear message that will not allow the CBDC to proliferate the United States, and thus it falls on banks, credit unions, and financial institutions to issue their own stablecoins or partner with existing platforms. This move was anticipated in our design years in advance, as we have created the only compliance first and user-friendly architecture in the Metal blockchain that will not only allow institutions to issue their own stable coins into a basket that can interact, but to launch their own private or public blockchain in a connected network of Metal subnets. Furthermore, we recognize that institutions need a blockchain that is a performant and one that can handle digital identity safely and responsibly while preserving your privacy. Metal blockchain may just be ambitious, it may just be ambitious as the advent of Bitcoin in 2009, because it is not just a technology, but a vision for our future that puts people back in control of their finances, giving us the ability to create wealth and prosperity where such opportunities did never exist previously in the past.
Yo, so much. Like that's such a powerful post. And did you see, look at the part that I highlighted in purple. You see that at the bottom? Can you read that again?
Yeah, but a vision for our future that puts people back in control of their finances.
And if we go over here to this post, what did I say in this one? DeFi puts the power back where it belongs, in your hands. What do you have Dan Donnie talking about from the DTCC? How DeFi is like the biggest freaking use case, collateral, being able to lend, being able to borrow, right? And listen to what he says here about how important regulation is, keeping in mind the post that MetalX just made right here, where it says, this move was anticipated in our design years in advance, as we've created the only compliance first and user-friendly architecture in Metal blockchain that will not only allow institutions to issue their own stablecoins into a basket that can interact. What did Apollo say? What should we be doing? Interacting with our assets.
1000%. 1000. And this is how you interact. And this is the stuff that you need to start studying to be part of the new financial, the new financial investors, like just like what was her name? I'm just forgetting her name right now. Christine Moy, what she was just saying. Like how many, take away blockchain and crypto, how many people have like classes teaching people about the old traditional system and universal life insurance and the Rothschild, waterfall drip system and all that stuff? All that is all old news. The new news is DeFi and learning how to get your assets working for you, period.
Yeah, I can't stress enough. It's definitely something that I'd say most people in crypto are ignoring right now that should not be. This is Dan Donahue talking about regulation mattering. So this just goes hand in hand with the MetalX post.
If you were talking to some of the big, I'll call it vertically integrated asset managers, right? So I'm thinking about like BlackRock, I'm thinking about, sort of the big folks. Like if you had to give them, sort of like what they should be thinking about if they're not already thinking about it, what would be that sort of advice that you'd give to sort of the upper echelons of those organizations?
That's a good question. So as you know, BlackRock's already in this game and many others are. This one word of caution is compliance still does matter.
Mhm.
So some folks are actually taking the recent mandate and change of administration as like a free pass. All right, it's on. Let's roll. Slow down, folks. We've seen this in a series of cycles, and you can't say, well, it works for, I won't name any institute, but it works for them. So, and we trust them, so it's good. If the principle doesn't apply, you can't stop some little Ponzi scheme person from following that same principle and then breaking the rules. And as soon as you do that, as soon as you allow bad apples, they spoil the batch. So I do think that folks do have to remember the importance of programmable compliance and the importance of making sure you cannot have unregulated, uncontrolled assets. You can't. That will lead to bad outcomes. And I think folks are skirting that now just because they've seen some examples. Just like we said in 2015, regulations do matter. They can't just stand idly by. The bigger this gets, the more important it will be. It will matter that folks do this the right way. And I think there's some exuberance, a little bit too much, that let's just move fast. And
and again, you have to take a look at what myself and Aqua are putting out to you guys. I'm not sitting here saying that you're going to go out and run the DeFi strategies on meme coins and just wing it for high APRs. No, we can do this on blue chips. We can do this. And if not do it, just learn about it. You can learn about these strategies on blue chips right now. That is primal. That is prime knowledge that you should be taking advantage of, because when these blue chips, when the vast majority of retail traders get priced out, when institutions come flooding in, right, you're going to have these blue chips that you're going to be like, what am I going to do with the $1,000 XRP as an example? You want to sell that for fiat? Oh my God, it makes me jump out of my skin when I hear people say they're going to sell their XRP. Why? When you can take it, you can lend out your XRP, borrow against it. And if you want to buy yourself a house, you want to buy yourself a car, you want to start a business, you never have to sell your XRP.
And your main objective should be to hang on to that XRP and create cash flow so you can hang on to it, right? So that you can give it to whoever you're going to leave it to when it's your time to go, because we're not on this planet forever, right? But what the main goal and the main objective should be is to keep these digital assets in your family tree, in your bloodline, or whatever you got going on in your life, to keep them going for, you know what I mean? Instead of selling them into the market and, later on down the line, they're worth thousands or hundreds of thousands. I mean, look at Bitcoin. Shout out to the people who hodled that entire time with Bitcoin. Like that's unbelievable. But like, fortunately, to hang on to these digital assets now going forward, we have DeFi where we can create cash flow with these assets, these mini businesses that we have in our cold storage wallet. We have to wake up that these are not stock. This is not stock. This is a new financial system. You know what I mean? And being your own bank is more than just cold storage, borrowing and lending, there's just so much to it.
And I think too, bro, as the system evolves, like it's like cold storage was cool, but now there's like so much more complexity behind really keeping and preserving your wealth. Something that you and I don't really publicly address or talk about, but that we will eventually. And that's like trust structures and LLCs and all these things that people should also be taking into account to protect their wealth over time. It's not just, I'm going to hold on a cold storage wallet, buy on Coinbase, hodl for the long run, keep my head down and become wealthy. No, just like Christine Moy said, you need to become active. You need to learn about portfolio management, about diversification. You need to learn about capital reallocation or, rebalancing portfolios and all these things, all these mechanics that come to managing wealth. It's not just, I'm going to buy and hodl. It's, you literally have to become your own bank. You got to become a wealth manager at the end of the day,
And do you trust yourself enough to be your own bank? If you don't, then you got some studying to do. You know what I mean? Yo, hey, real quick, let me just tell you, my son just texted me. He said, yo, Donald Trump just signed the crypto bill into law. My son is 12, yo.
Yeah, man, it's getting crazy. It's getting crazy. And the crazier part is we're literally just getting started. Like, when you really put that into perspective, you just realize how blessed you are to be part of this community. If you're a part of the CYPRX 1228 Club, you're even more blessed because you're getting insights that matter when they matter most. So moving on, I said here, don't let this recent rally fool you. There's still so many alts that are still massively undervalued. The long-term trajectory is up, but that doesn't mean that we won't experience turbulence along the way. lock in. And the reason why I said this, right, and the reason why I played the video clip of Dan Donnie talking about regulation is because in this example, I used Aptos and I used the MetalX platform, right? And so I already showed you guys here this post from MetalX where they talk about being regulatory compliant, but like, don't sleep on Aptos, y'all, because look at what's going on over here. We can see Salomon Tesfaye. Hopefully, I'm probably butchering his name, and I do apologize for that. Who is this guy? Well, if we come over here, he's a dude with some serious credentials. And on July 10th, Salomon was named Chief Business Officer at Aptos Labs. You can see the date right there. And if we come down here, it says Salomon has been a key architect of Aptos Labs' growth, from working with partners to launch Aptos-linked exchange-traded products across Europe to advancing their capital markets and payment strategy. As CBO, he'll accelerate their work with bringing enterprise systems, global markets, and next-generational financial infrastructure on-chain. And right now, Aptos is one of the top 3 networks for real-world assets. Not a lot of people know that. And over $540 million in tokenized assets now live on the network. They have institutional asset managers like BlackRock on board with them, right? I'm just saying, lock in. And if you come down here, this gentleman, Salomon, he was a former investment banker with deep experience in digital asset markets. Salomon already steered the Aptos Lab business team through partnerships with global exchanges, trading venues, fintech innovators. With his approach anchored in trust, precision, and long-term strategy, he has helped establish Aptos as a blockchain of choice for real-world finance and institutional-grade infrastructure. But you never really hear people talking about Aptos. Here's this dude's credentials. He was an investment banker at Citi, right? And then he posted about this Genius Act. So in this post, he says, the Genius Act clears the runway for stablecoins to scale on Aptos, the global trading engine. The demand's already here with over $1.35 billion like USDT, USDC, and USDE moving on next-gen networks like Aptos. So that is not a small amount of money, $1.35 billion. Now policy meets performance. And we heard the gentleman from the beginning of this video say that we're out of this proof of concept phase and we're starting to enter into real world utility. Well, if we come over here, this is Avery Chang, right? The passage of the Genius Act marks a pivotal moment for the United States to maintain its role as a global leader in financial innovation, with the Genius becoming law. The U.S. is stepping boldly into the future of finance with a clear signal that responsible innovation is not only welcome, but essential. At Aptos Labs, they've always believed that the most secure, scalable, and inclusive digital infrastructure can and should be built here in the United States. And this dude was sitting in, look at this. This is directly from Aptos Labs. We come over here at the June 2025 U.S. Agriculture Committee hearing. So Aptos was there. Aptos Labs CEO and co-founder Avery Chang delivered a call to action for innovation, now immortalized in the committee's official Clarity Act report. You can see right here. Avery Chang, the CEO and co-founder blockchain developer at Aptos Labs, also spoke on the importance of supporting innovation. Just as the internet rewired everyday life, decentralized networks will form the core infrastructure of the coming digital economy. What? Y'all, this gentleman just said that in front of freaking Congress. You guys understand that in front of the Senate, right? Delivering systems that are transparent, interoperable, designed for innovation, and will redefine how we engage the world around us. The world is changing, y'all. The outdated infrastructure, it's changing and it's coming on chain. Then he goes on to say, tokens, that's important, serve as a vital role in every application built on blockchain. For blockchain innovation to expand responsibly in the US, developers need clear regulatory guidance around token issuance and distributions. We are ready to help realize that mission, and we're grateful for the committee's leadership in making it possible, right? So Avery Chang, CEO and co-founder of Aptos, was at this and is in the midst of this regulatory transformation. And if we go back, since he's talking about tokens, do you remember what Dan said from the DTCC about tokens? Take a second here and listen to Dan tell you that these tokens are going to be important in this new DeFi infrastructure.
Coherent marketplace. So they're forward leaning in that model. As I mentioned to you, the one right to win that DTCC has in this model is we are the record keeper for quadrillions of dollars of transactions, but for fundamentally assets under record, approximately $100 trillion worth of assets. So unilaterally, without the need to engage anyone else, we can actually make it possible to tokenize $100 trillion worth of value. No one else can do that efficiently. So we have both a right and a responsibility to do that effectively for the financial markets, because it unlocks so much among those things that it unlocks. So we're building out those rails to do that, to make it so that parties can, within seconds, convert any traditional holding into token form to conduct transactions. But tokens themselves really aren't game changers. They're just another database, a database with benefits to be sure, but just another database in the end. It's actually what you can do with tokens that makes the big difference. And the foundational transaction in finance is collateral. So most people think liquidity really comes from trading activity, that, you know, that's what makes a difference, my ability to convert dollars to shares of Tesla.
I just want to pause real quick, because you really need to understand what he just said and what we're doing at the Wealth 28 Club to show you the real utility of these assets. He said, trading's cool, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. So tokens don't really matter. When they matter is when you can do things with them. When the tokens become active, you can utilize them as collateral, lending, borrowing. What did I say to you guys in the freaking post here where I said utilizing Aptos as collateral, right? To go out, lend, borrow, buy a property, tokenize that property, so on and so forth. You guys see how we're aligned with what the freaking DTCC is telling you guys these tokens are going to be used for? And what did Aptos, the gentleman, the co-founder, sit in front of Congress and say to you the other day? Tokens serve as a vital role in every application built on blockchain. For blockchain innovation to expand responsibly in the US, developers need clear regulatory guidelines around token issuance and distribution. We are ready to help realize that mission, and we are grateful for the committee's leadership in making it possible. Just as the internet rewired everyday life, decentralized networks will form the core infrastructure of the coming digital economy. He knows that the world is changing. This is Avery Chang, CEO of Aptos. Well, last but not least, I'll play this video clip for you guys, then I'm done my spiel. We have the global blockchain leader at EY, Paul Brody. Listen to what he says about how the world is, for a fact, changing.
Yeah. Paul?
So there is, so first of all, I think your point about like the bearer asset is spot on. Like that is a big departure from what we've had in the recent past. And it is a big regulatory advantage, and it's one that's now going to be conferred upon everybody who wants to deploy a stable coin. But there's a couple of other things that are going on from an infrastructure perspective that are worth watching. The first is this entirely new infrastructure that's being built to facilitate a really rapid integration of stable coins. We've seen the announcement today, Shopify is integrating USDC. Stripe is buying Privy, they bought Bridge, right? What's happening is the entire like global commercial infrastructure is building a new payments infrastructure. The first new payments infrastructure, probably since the credit card industry, is being built on top of the existing like crypto rails. So new.
He just said an entirely new payment infrastructure is being built out. He didn't say blockchain, he didn't say DLT, he said crypto rails, to make it very clear that crypto is going to play an important role in this new financial system, right?
100.
And it's not just about holding an asset, because it becomes a negative carry asset when you just hold it and it does nothing for you. It just sits idle in a cold storage wallet or institutional custodial wallet or whatever. It does nothing. It doesn't collect any yield. It just collects dust, and it fluctuates with the market volatility. That is BS. We deserve better than that. If you are an XRP holder, you deserve better than that. I'm telling you guys right now. And guess what? It's becoming unlocked and available to us right now in the moment. So I rest my case. I've now not only shown you guys that institutional players are telling you all this is happening, but that they are studying it themselves and launching platforms in which they can do it on themselves. And we have players in the game right now that are meeting with Congress, with the Senate, are regulatory compliant. And then you heard the DTCC representative mention that they are building out regulatory systems right now so that DeFi and TradFi can integrate seamlessly in 2026. Like, that's not coming from me. That's coming directly from the DTCC. So lock in. Go ahead, Aqua, if you want to cap on that.
Yeah, nah. The clip I wanted you to play from that, the Don Donnie though, was when he kind of breaks down who the DTCC is and like who's behind them. If you want to play that real quick before we end, because I felt like that will give people more clarity on who the DTCC even is and what they're doing and how they're affiliated with, you know, different institutions and what they do. And when you hear that, I feel like it's going to make the vision even more clear as to what these guys got going on. And this is a major deal. Like, this is much bigger than Swift. I'm going to keep saying it. It's much bigger than Swift. 14% of Swift, because Brad Garlinghouse said it. I love that, but pay attention to this and listen to what he has to say, because it's wild. It's wild.
And maybe just give people a quick primer on it.
Yeah, so DTCC has been around for over 50 years, founded in the 1970s. It was designed to solve the problem of fragmentation in U.S. capital markets, where there were many transfer agents, records were kept on paper certificates. There were electronic systems, but actually getting all systems to agree fundamentally on who owned what, who owned shares of IBM. As the markets accelerated, they were falling farther and farther behind in the financial systems. Financial market participants were falling farther and farther behind in their ability to keep up. So DTCC was formed to be a single touch point. So instead of having to interact with a whole bunch of individual transfer agents in their systems, you could really interact with one party. And that allowed the financial markets it really restructured the financial markets in such a way that they've lasted up until today. At the time, I think it was T+7 for settlement times, and then 5, and then 3, and 2, and most recently, this past year, DTCC led the financial markets as the core model for consensus to T+1s. What that means is that when you conduct transactions, a trade of shares of your favorite equity, the official record and the total transaction is complete on all systems. All parties agree as to what ownership is 1 day later. The T+1, trade time plus 1 day. Well, that model and that responsibility of a couple other simple things about DTCC. We are a private company owned by the financial market institutions. So all the big players have a stake in DTCC. So in many ways, you could say that we're the DAO for the U.S. financial markets, in that we're owned by those parties. We are perhaps arguably the most important SIPMU, systemically important financial market utility, basically the infrastructure on which all other institutions conduct their trades. And the expectation is enormous. You have to.
Yo, I got to pause it right there. He literally just said we're basically the most important financial institution. So
100%.
if you're not listening to this dude after this call, I don't know what else to how else to help people for real. It's like,
Yeah, this guy needs to go viral within the XRP army. Like, everybody should be playing this video in the XRP army, period.
this was a phenomenal interview. Shout out to who is this Validation Cloud. Shout out to Validation Cloud. Whoever this guy is on YouTube that had this gentleman on the interview, and got to give a shout out to them. But yeah, this was such a great podcast today, man. That's really all that I had for today. I don't know if you had anything. I just want to take a second and give a shout out to all the listeners for tapping in with us on this lovely Friday. Almost 2,000 people listening in. So really do appreciate you guys for coming out. As always, we're just here to promote education, show you guys that we're in the midst of a massive transformation. Again, we don't encourage that you guys go out and risk your hard-earned digital assets, but we do encourage that you guys go out and take an educational approach. Read a document, read a white paper, open up a protocol, go to a DEX, open up the docs, read thoroughly through it, understand what it is and how you can participate. Go through and watch the tutorial videos on the DEX itself. If you guys don't want to tap into the Wealth 28 Club and see how we're earning on our digital assets, because a mentorship program might not be for everybody, but just go start learning. And if a mentorship is for you guys, then tap in with us here in the Wealth CYPRX 28 Club, because at the end of the day, like, the things and the information that we're tapped into and that we're paying attention to, it's going relatively unnoticed. Like, so many people in the crypto space, the crypto niche itself, just aren't tapped into what our digital assets and the level of utility they can provide can give to us. So head over to CYPRXtrading.com if you guys are interested in that. Try it out for a month, tap in with us, join in on the Zoom calls, engage with the community, ask questions, watch all the content and the material, and just learn. So that way, when you're comfortable, when you're ready, and when the regulatory environment is squared away, you can go out and you can start generating passive income and yield, and you can start really truly building your wealth and maximizing your cash flow, like Aqua said, right? So that's all I got for today, Aqua. I'll stay on live with you, man, if you want today, if you have anything else for the people. But outside of that, that's all that I had for my presentation today, brother.
Yeah, no, I ain't got nothing. I'm good. We've been on here almost going on, an hour and 40 minutes. So yeah, I'm Gucci today.
Yeah, really great stuff, man. Today was a good call. I hope that everybody had an amazing week. Remember not to get distracted. There's going to be a lot of people out there that are giving price predictions and outrageous target and stuff. Understand where we're at in the landscape and just really buckle down. At the end of the day, make sure that you're locking in with fundamentals. You understand what could shift risk sentiment from risk on, risk off. We're definitely heading into a utility-driven environment, but we're not quite there yet. which means that trading activity and trading headlines are still going to dominate market sentiment and movement. So don't get caught off guard with your pants down, just expecting hopium and higher price targets to continue every single day, every single week, every single month. Be okay with the major market downswings that we could face in the near term as we, progress into trillions of dollars in market cap. Understand it's not just going to be a straight ride to the upside, and you're going to have to understand how to navigate that environment so that way your brain doesn't get manipulated and you can position yourself on the right side of history. So, Aquaman, if I could dap you up through the freaking camera, bro, I would. I appreciate you, bro, as always. Have a good weekend. Everybody else, peace. Have a good weekend.
Yep. Much love, everybody.